Hello and welcome to Tech Talk Tuesdays. Now, today we have a very important and exciting session for you. And I'm your host, Shazad Ali. I'm the Principal Solutions Architect. And with me, I have Dipesh Kumar, who is the Customer Solutions Architect here at Aviatrix. So together we work with the large enterprise customers pretty much on the daily basis, and we solve a lot of their challenges when it comes to building the secure networks in the cloud, or even when you're connecting those cloud networks to on-prem resources such as the data center and branches. So this is exactly what we will discuss in this session. We will tell you about the lessons that we have learned and the best practices while building these secure networks for our customers, especially in China region using Alibaba Cloud and other clouds as well. So this is what we will cover. So I'll give you a quick introduction of Aviatrix Cloud Platform, what those software components are, and also a little bit about the Alibaba Cloud. We will also look at the cloud deployment details, especially covering Alibaba Cloud. And as you guys know, in cloud or even in any networking and security solution, visibility and operation is extremely important. So we will cover that as well. So let me tell you a little bit about our Aviatrix Cloud networking platform. So we have three main software components in this software architecture. So the number one is the Aviatrix controller. That's the control plane that drives the cloud and multi-cloud networking and security interaction. You deploy the controller from the CSP or cloud service provider marketplace. It's just the EC2 instance or the virtual machine running in your account, in your subscription or project. So important thing to remember that this is not a SaaS, this is yours. The architecture, the software, everything is yours. The second piece is the Aviatrix gateway. So these red circles or orange circles you see here represents the Aviatrix gateway, and you can deploy these gateways in a number of different fashions based on your unique requirement. For example, it could be a transit, a spoke, or egress security gateway and whatnot, right? And then the third piece is the Aviatrix CoPilot. This is our operational tool or the product that we have that provides you the deep visibility and operational capabilities in your cloud and multi-cloud environments. Now this controller is not only aware of the gateways, obviously, but also it knows about the cloud networking constructs. Okay, so we can control and manage the cloud like Alibaba, Azure, AWS, GCP, or Oracle, and we can bring those networking and security solutions to you while leveraging the cloud data plane as well as the Aviatrix gateway, providing the data plane where needed. Then we also have connectivity back to the third-party providers such as Fortinet, Checkpoint, Palo Alto, and the list is long, where we can insert those services into your cloud networking footprint. There are a lot to cover here, so I will appreciate you guys to take a look at our YouTube channel where we have covered other challenges and a lot of details about our platform and the problems we solve for our customers. Now let's touch a little bit on the Alibaba Cloud and the important services. So like other clouds such as AWS and Azure, they follow the same kind of a model where if you look at this diagram, that's your Alibaba Cloud. And within that, when you are dealing with the networking and security, the most important service is the VPC, the virtual private cloud. Now, when you create the VPC, there is a router created automatically for you as part of the VPC creation. And that's the native router that is managed by the Alibaba Cloud, right? So, and then when you create those subnets, and you will notice that in Alibaba case, they call them vSwitches. So when you create them, those subnets, these subnets are connected to the vRouter, and then that's how the routing is done between these subnets. Like other clouds like AWS, they have a concept of zone. So you have zone A, zone B to provide high availability for your virtual machines or the instances you're running for your applications. Now, in case of Alibaba, they call them Elastic Compute Service. Okay, so in AWS is EC2, here is called the Elastic Compute Service. In Azure, you know, this is called virtual machine. So same concept, but different name in some cases. To provide this storage, they have object storage service called OSS. And when you're dealing with the cloud and building your networking and security infrastructure in the cloud, if you want to connect to the on-prem resources, obviously you can use the public internet, you can build a VPN connectivity there, but in a lot of cases, you would want a private circuit from your VPC or from your Alibaba Cloud going towards your on-premise data center. So for that private connectivity, they have a concept called Express Connect. So that's your dedicated on-prem private circuit. It's pretty much similar to the AWS Direct Connect or Azure Express Route Service. Now, the last piece is very important, and you should pay attention to this because we will be covering it a lot here. It's called CEN, Cloud Enterprise Network. You can think of it as the AWS Transit Gateway, where these VPCs are connected and then they can provide the routing functionality or kind of a hub functionality between those regions in Alibaba Cloud.
Okay, so next is I'll just go over a demo in terms of the Avatix CoPilot and visibility in terms of how we can visualize and troubleshoot information and can get information around latency and all that characteristics. So let me go over on my different screen. Okay, so and right now, this is the Copilot. So this is the Aviatrix Copilot where you can visualize information around gateways, around the CSP constructs, like the VPCs, instances, the regions, and their connections as well. You can also kind of visualize information around specific regions in terms of gateway resources and all that. So let's go into some of the specifics that are very relevant for the operations team to kind of troubleshoot and kind of visualize traffic. So this here is the topology section where you can kind of visualize all resources that have been created and in addition to the VPC or CSP construct resources as well. So this is basically showing you a graph of the topology. In this case, we have the topology in different regions across different CSPs. So if I focus, you can even zoom on certain specific information. So in this case, let's say, for example, we have this gateway which is connected in AWS China. So if I kind of click on this gateway, I will see that information around what specific CSP it's deployed in. In this case, it's AliCloud. You also see that this has connectivity to a data center. Another option that you could use to kind of do certain diagnostics is to click. When you click on diagnostics, you could do certain basic connectivity tests like ping, traceroute. So let's say, and also look at interface stats. So let's say if I click on interface stats, I could look at information around transmitted and received traffic. In case of there are any drops in traffic, you could see that as well. And that's just not for the interface which is attached to the gateway, but also for the tunnel itself. So you could review the same information in terms of, let's say, the address, IP address, the drops, the traffic transmitted and received. And also in case you are kind of having a limit exceeded or any kind of errors, that information will be available as well. So this is a very helpful tool or very helpful resource where you can kind of visualize this information, and it helps to kind of troubleshoot and find a resolution a lot faster. Another kind of important thing is latency measurements. So this here, if you click on the latency monitoring section, you can visualize latency between different Aviatrix gateways. So in this case, let's say if there is a gateway in AliCloud and you're visualizing latency across different timestamps. And again, you could kind of click on different time periods and kind of customize that time periods and hit apply, and then visualize latency information as well. Another piece here would be topology replay. So this is very important in terms of what you have in terms of any compliance requirements where you want to see or you want to have audit information in to see what changes were made. So sometimes, for example, a certain change was made and there is certain thing that is not working after that change. So you could always look at this information. So kind of looking at specific information, you could click on visualizing that information and then kind of look at, let's say, in this case, what were routes advertised, what changed in terms of, let's say, instance went down or routing information that changed. And you can kind of also look at the full topology here itself. So you have this information available to look at changes that were made at certain times. And again, you can go back in time as well and then visualize what exactly was changed. And this really helps in troubleshooting issues which come in the, if there are any. And then also kind of in terms of auditing and compliance, this will be a very helpful thing to know what exact changes were made. So let's look at another piece of information, which is FlowIQ. So you can visualize information around the net flow data. So let's say if I click on flows, I have certain traffic running here. So you can see information around source and destination IPs. And if I click on records, for example, you could also see information in terms of amount of traffic that is running, the source and destination IPs. If you want specific information, you could click on edit columns here on the right, and then look at specific information. Like for example, if you want to look at specific interface name or specific in terms of physical interface or next hops or protocols, you could have all that information selected so that you can visualize what exactly is happening across the gateway resources. So again, CoPilot is a very important tool available to visualize this information. I'll now hop on to the controller, where again, controller is where the deployment of the resources and we visualize all that. So when you look at the controller on this tab on the gateway, you can visualize all gateways that have been created. And again, this can be using Terraform or through the gateway UI or through the controller UI itself. So you can see here what account they were onboarded in, what is the CIDR, this is the VPC CIDR, which specific CSP they were deployed in. In this case, it's AliCloud. You can also visualize IP information and then the region information as well. And then depending on what specific fashion you were deploying it on, whether it was a transit or whether it was a spoke, that information can be visualized as well. And again, just like as we saw in the CoPilot, you can here click on the column menu and then specifically look at information if you want to. So if you want to look at specific information around region, or you have a specific transit, or if you want to visualize information around the CIDRs or anything, you can just click that option and then hit apply columns, and then that information will appear here as well. So it kind of gives you a very important visualization in terms of your Aviatrix gateway resources. So another thing in terms of troubleshooting is packet capture. So you can hit diagnostics under troubleshoot section and then also do a packet capture, which is a pretty important tool for all network engineers. So in this case, what I'll do is just to showcase, I'll select the specific gateway in the AliCloud China region. And I'll select the specific interface where the traffic is going on, and then select the specific IP. So this is the IP where my traffic is coming from. And if I select start here, so what this will do is in a couple of seconds, this will give me information around traffic that is coming or receiving from this specific IP. You also have the option to, so as you can see here on the screen now, I currently have a ping running from this IP. So you can see here that ICMP echo request and reply messages for the specific interface. You could also kind of download a PCAP file if you want to, just to visualize a little better. So all in all, what you can see is the Aviatrix platform here provides you the required monitoring and troubleshooting tools in the different CSPs, which is a very important piece for any deployment in the cloud. So with our solution, you have this option available, and again, very important if you want to kind of troubleshoot and operationalize for your teams. So now I'll move back to the presentation. So now let's look at the multi-cloud solution with AliCloud. In this case, now we'll focus specifically on the CEN. So let's look at that. So in this case,
Okay, Dipesh, can you
yeah,
share your slide, please?
yeah, sure, sorry.
We are seeing your controller
Okay.
UI, no problem.
Okay, so I'll.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah. So in terms of the solution with AliCloud, let's look at what we can do. In what we looked upon earlier was where the customer was using their enterprise, their own MPLS backbone to build connectivity from mainland China to outside mainland China regions. Now, in this case, as you can see on the screen, you have a similar model where you have the transit and the spoke architecture, and then you have connectivity to the data center. But you will see here that on the left, you have the European region, and then on the right, you have China region. But the connectivity between these mainland China and Europe is through the CEN, the AliCloud CEN, which is the Cloud Enterprise Network. So I'll go over in detail over what that is. It's basically a construct that is available through the AliCloud to build seamless connectivity. And again, we look at what options there are to build, or what resources can be connected to the CEN to build this connectivity end to end. So in this case, CEN is being used as the underlay. You are building this connectivity from Europe to mainland China with CEN as the underlay. And in the previous case, if you remember, we did that using the backbone, the global MPLS backbone. But in this case, we are building that using the CEN as an underlay. And this, over the CEN, we are building this encrypted connectivity. And then again, end to end, you have the connectivity in Europe using the transit, Aviatrix transit gateways, and then building that connectivity to mainland China. Okay.
Dipesh, when you build this connectivity using the CEN, so are
Mhm.
you building the transit peering between the transit gateways in AliCloud Region 1 and Region 2? How is this connectivity done here?
So in this case, Shahzad, the connectivity is basically we are doing our site to cloud or IPsec tunnels between these gateways. As what I mentioned earlier, because of the requirements from the Chinese government, there are two separate controllers which are in this case will be required. Because for the Chinese regions, as I mentioned, the separate controller is required, which is required to deploy those resources in the China region. So we have the gateways created here between in Europe and in mainland China. And then we are building this connectivity using the site to cloud connection or using the CEN as the underlay.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Dipesh.
So let's look at CEN. How do we build connectivity? So CEN, this is a screenshot from the AliCloud portal. What it's showing you here is under the networks tab, you are seeing that the VPCs which are attached to the CEN. So when you are building connectivity using CEN, you have options, and one of these options is to connect your VPC itself to the CEN. This has to be done on the AliCloud portal, or you could do it using APIs as well. So once you have this VPC attached, you will see this status as attached. And another important thing, once you have this connectivity done, you will see the status as ready. So once you have this worked out, what you will automatically see is the route table is something that you need to visualize. So this is a screenshot of the VPC route table itself. So if you look at the VPC route table, you will see that under this tab, you will see that the prefixes are exchanged, and you will see that the type or is the CEN, which means that these prefixes is coming using the CEN or propagated from the CEN. So all the VPC prefixes that you are connected to will be propagated automatically when you're connected using the CEN.
Okay, got it. So is this propagation happening automatically? Is it dynamic, or how does it work?
Yes, yes. So this is dynamic. You don't need to manually advertise prefixes on the CEN. It automatically happens when you connect the VPCs, the required VPCs to the CEN. So as you can see here, automatically you will see that prefixes automatically getting propagated.
Okay, awesome.
So now another important thing when you are looking at CEN is the bandwidth that you will be requiring. So CEN basically, when you connect VPC specifically from, let's say, in this case, you're connecting, let's say, mainland China to, let's say, Europe or North America or other Asia Pacific regions, you will need to purchase this bandwidth plan because by default, the CEN won't offer you the required bandwidth. Obviously, you will, based on your requirements, you can go up to like 10 gig, and you can look at the required cost that you have. And then once you have the bandwidth plan, you can select that bandwidth plan, and then you can start, sending or receiving traffic. By default, as I said, the required limits won't be enough for you to send or receive critical traffic. So it's important that you purchase this bandwidth plan and then start sending critical traffic across the CEN. And again, for more details, you can always reach out to your AliCloud representative to get more detailed info. So let's kind of look at global branch connectivity using CSP as a backbone. So again, referring back to what we talked about earlier, where we said that the global backbone or the MPLS backbone is how we connect from mainland China to outside. In this case, we are using the CSP as the backbone itself. And leveraging that CSP, we are building this multi-cloud backbone connectivity, which connects your branches in, let's say, China or mainland China regions to branches in US, as you can see on the screen. So if you have resources, let's say, for example, in GCP in US West, and you have a branch connecting and to that specific region, you can build this end-to-end connectivity from this branch to a branch in China. So let's say, for example, in Azure China, you have a branch and you want to build this connectivity to a branch in US. You can build this multi-cloud backbone leveraging the CSP itself so that you can build end-to-end connectivity from any branch across any geography end-to-end. So, and again, you could have next generation firewalls present as well, as you can see on the screen, if you want to do inspection of traffic from different branches or based on your requirements or your compliance requirements. How do you want to inspect traffic, whether it's from branch to branch or workload to workload?
Yeah, I think this is very important because now we are building this connectivity and you don't really need SD-WAN. So if you have already purchased the router, if you already have the router on your branch site, if they can support the native IPsec, all you need is the IPsec connectivity. And then the Avatix solution can actually take care of all your branch to branch connectivity needs, right? For example, this GCP you see here can connect to the AWS China, for example, or if you have a requirement to connect, let's say this US branch connected to this AliCloud, and then just hitting the application in the AliCloud in the China region, you can actually do that. And not only that, let's say if you are here in China, if you want to go out towards the SaaS provider here, you can also get this connectivity done using this footprint or with this solution without requiring any third-party SD-WAN solution out there.
Yeah. So yeah, in end-to-end, we have a global multi-cloud backbone, which we can establish and build global branch connectivity. So yeah, with this, it concludes this part of our presentation. If you guys have any questions, please reach out via Q&A, and you can comment on that via chat. Thank you.